Hello guys, Night Guy back at you. Got my full setup on right now, full training setup. We're getting ready to go out there and do our thing. There's my self-made vest of plates that I put together, fabricated with some chainmail, comboed with some impact protection. We have padding under here. I'm using a fencing jacket and some gambeson material, nice arming cap, chainmail, nasal helm. So we're ready to go for battle. But the main point of today's video is what I have here in my hands. If you see this bad boy, you can zoom in on that. I don't know.
That
This
one
is
big ass axe.
yes, nice two-handed axe that I put together. My goal was to make a Dane's axe is kind of what I was going for, or house Carl axe. I like the Dane axe a lot. I follow Matt Easton on Skull of Gladiatoria. Great guy to watch. Check it out. He's very knowledgeable when it comes to medieval weaponry. And he mentions how difficult it is to find a really good, accurate Dane axe. And he's very, very correct. A lot of them on the market are just not long enough, or they're too heavy to use. This shape, the blade is not accurate to what a Dane's axe would have. Normally, the top portion of the blade would be a little more forward and kind of come at a slant. But it would have a little hooking piece down here. It wouldn't be as profound as this hook.
A little more
However,
stylistic.
I'm sorry?
It's a little more stylistic.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure if that was, or maybe just easier to make. I don't know if drawing this out of steel in the Middle Ages probably wouldn't have been very easy to do. So that's probably why, it would stop about here on most axe heads. Typically, the theory as to why they were carrying more axes than swords in the earlier period is due to steel being a lot rarer, harder to get the materials. So it's obviously easier to make an axe head and just put it on a wooden shaft than go through the trouble of making a complete sword and hilt and everything. So this originally was supposed to be a single-handed axe that I purchased. The shaft only went down to about here. Wasn't very long, so you got a good swing, it was a powerful weapon. You could still use it two-handed back then, but it's kind of short for a two-handed weapon, especially in Hema, with people using long swords. You really don't have the reach that they do. The only problem that I had was I would swing it out one-handed, and due to the weight of this axe head, even though it's very light, it's still very light, the weight was all balanced completely forward on my outstretched arm. So retracting back in was always just extremely difficult to do. Also, it was cheaply made, as a lot of the reproductions that you'll get for weapons tend to be, unfortunately. So this, I don't know if you can see here, I have it reinforced and covered with duct tape to hold it in. That was mainly from the gluing purpose, but if you can see here, it's steel here. This is just a cap that is literally capped onto the wooden shaft. The original job that they did for this was very, very poor. It was fitted on well, but they just literally looks like they just used some cheap wood glue. They didn't heat fit it or anything the way they're supposed to, or the way they would have done in the Middle Ages. A Dane's axe would actually be rounded, similar to the way this axe is fastened on. You see how the shaft goes through and protrudes from the axe head. They would heat it on there, hammer it in, and then they would come behind and split it here, and they would put little wedges in so that it would expand and keep it nice and tight. That's, what they would do with the Dane axe also. So, no, this isn't exactly a Dane's axe. This was a single-handed Viking axe advertised as. Through some training practice, you can see there's some nicks on this bad boy. That's another one of my complaints in searching for the Dane axes. Not only could I not find them tall enough, because this is supposed to be a pole arm, and pole arms aren't short weapons. I should have the reach. This thing's almost as tall as I am. I'm 5'9", so that should give you a good idea how tall this thing is. Not only should they be, tall weapons, but they're supposed to be light and nimble. From what I've seen, the historical Dane axes probably weighed about 2 pounds, which is lighter than, that's pretty much as light as most swords. Early period swords might have been a little heavier. But that's pretty light and nimble, especially if you got a good swing. got some good leverage in there. You could definitely deliver a very powerful blow very easily. It has a, being that it's an axe head, it kind of has a little hook. So you can pull, you can attempt to manipulate an opponent's weapon or their shield. We'll come back later to the advantages and disadvantages of hooking a weapon and pulling in. Unfortunately, when you pull a weapon in, you can pull it straight into yourself, so it's not always a good idea. But back to this piece, what I did was from training, I beat it up a little bit. It started to shake loose, as this thing is now it's not like that at all now. It's nice and firm, but it started to shake loose, and so I just went to town with it and got it to completely shake loose. Went out to my local hardware store, found the longest shovel handle I could find, and between some Gorilla Glue duct tape and some good old steel weld epoxy to fill in the gaps, I have it nice and solid in there. I kept the tape on. I mean, the tape was just to hold it in place originally, just so that the epoxy could set. But I decided to keep it on. I feel like it reinforces it a little bit. I know in later periods on these dane axes and bardiche type weapons, you would actually see them start riveting in plates that will go down the shaft on the sides and on the front or on the back, similar to like a poleaxe would have. And I'm assuming because when you come in and you hit another weapon, a lot of times the blade's going to end up here. They're going to clash and the blade's going to hit here. And up here, so that's probably where you take most of the damage. Where your axe head is at, there's a lot of force, going back and forth and this thing wanting to wiggle. So that's probably the common area to break them, probably exactly where the axe head meets the shaft. It's pretty common for any actual utilitarian axe I've ever used chopping wood. That is the most common area where they break, is right where the shaft inserts into the axe head. Anyway, this one's pretty solid. I don't know if you can hear that ring. So that gives me pretty good confidence that it's solid. I took a few swings at some bottles, annihilated them. I even accidentally hit one of the 2x4s on my stand with this. And nothing shake loose. Everything's nice and solid. It's ready to go. So let's give it a go. Thank you.